WWE have done 12 events in Saudi Arabia, and today we are going to be ranking all 12 of them. Some of them were abysmal, others were fantastic. And I'm Ben Allison, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts. But joining me today, we also have Jordy in the bank. How are you, Jordy?
I'm good. I'm good. I've recovering from a little bit of a cold, a little bit of a flu, but I made it back in time to do this video because, man, I can't believe there's been 12. And you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Some have felt a bit like a fever dream, and some have genuinely been memorable and potentially show of the year contenders. And I'm really happy that we've kind of changed up the categories that we're going to fit these shows into on this tier list. I'm excited to bring that in.
Yeah, absolutely. We have changed it this time. Now, as you can see, instead of A, B, C, all that, we now have show of the year contender, great, decent, I forgot about it, bad, and I pretend it never happened. And I think there's going to be a few in all of those pretty much because these are really up and down. In fact, you know what? I think the middle of it might actually be the most empty. I think it's either going to be really good or really bad because that's what a
Yeah.
lot of these shows have been. But let's get things started with the first one, right? And it was the only one of these they did, the Greatest Royal Rumble. I mean, this card, there was 10 matches on it, and I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, the card kicked off with John Cena versus Triple H. I completely forgot about it, and I still can't really remember it now, if I'm being honest. We then had Cedric Alexander defeat Kalisto for the Cruiserweight title. Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy won the vacant Raw Tag Team Championships against Cesaro and Sheamus. I can't even remember why those tag titles were vacant now. Jeff Hardy defeated Jinder Mahal by pinfall for the US title. The Bludgeon Brothers defeated the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Seth Rollins defeated The Miz, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. AJ Styles faced Nakamura in a match which ended in a double countout, and I remember just being so annoyed about it for the WWE Championship. Then it gets a little more confusing because this is one thing which I do remember, Jordy. I remember it was announced that The Undertaker would be taking on Rusev. Then it was announced that The Undertaker would be taking on Chris Jericho. And then it was announced that he was going to be taking on Rusev again. And everybody was confused.
Absolutely. As you've been going through this card, there's a lot to be confused about, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Like you said, Triple H, I'm a massive Cena guy. Like, I don't really remember Triple H versus John Cena in 2018. Like, it's crazy. It was very much a showcase, I think, when you actually read out the card and look at the different types of matches that they've put on there. They've kind of WWE's first PLE in Saudi Arabia. I feel like they just wanted to show, like, it was like somebody had just first got their hands on WWE 2K for the first time, and they were like, I want to play every match, and I want to play with everyone, and I want Rusev versus Taker in a casket match. Like, I don't know, but I think
so
it holds a little bit of relevance, and like you said, it's the only one they've done, and they can't really do another because it's no longer the greatest Royal Rumble anymore. So
yeah, I mean, and to make the card weirder after that point, the main event singles match was Lesnar versus Reigns in a steel cage, which Lesnar won by escaping the cage, which I hated. But then to just make things, and the cage broke at the same time as well, didn't it? Or was that another show?
Yeah, no, Reigns speared him through it, right? Is it not that time?
Oh,
And then Lesnar got the win. Don't like it. Don't like it.
Braun Strowman won the 50-man Royal Rumble and won a championship which has never been seen again. He's the longest reigning champion ever, but it'll never be seen again, I don't think. It was just, It was so bizarre. I mean, I don't really know what to think about this event. What are your thoughts?
It's in that middle region. I don't think, when I look back at some of the others, I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm into that. I forgot about it. But I didn't forget about it.
Yeah, I didn't. Maybe decent.
I didn't. Yeah, maybe decent. We can always look at moving it down, but I think the 50-man Royal Rumble was something, you know. Like I say, it was a showcase. It felt very much like that at the time. And looking back, when you look at the card, it totally is a showcase. It's how can we get our best people out on the roster, and get them all, like, 10 matches, man. That is unheard of these days. That is unheard of.
If you think that's unheard of, wait until the next one. Right, we'll chuck that in decent. The next one, Crown Jewel 2018. We had 12 matches. We had Nakamura defeating Rusev for the US title, with Rey Mysterio defeating Randy Orton in the World Cup. We had The Miz defeating Jeff Hardy in the World Cup, Rollins defeating Lashley in the World Cup, Dolph Ziggler defeating Kurt Angle in the World Cup, The Bar defeating The New Day for the SmackDown Tag titles, The Miz defeating Rey Mysterio in the semi-final match, Dolph Ziggler defeating Seth Rollins in the semi-final match. Then we had AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe, which only lasted 10 minutes, but I think was decent for what it was. Then we had Brock Lesnar defeat Braun Strowman in 1 minute for the vacant Universal Championship. Then Shane McMahon defeated Dolph Ziggler in the World Cup final. And then in the match we all remember, and by far the longest, and by the way, the World Cup final was 2 minutes as well. And in the main event, the match which we all remember, the absolute disaster that was D-Generation X versus the Brothers of Destruction, went nearly half an hour. This card, I mean, it's basically the size of 3 WWE cards nowadays. Complete and utter mess. I want to pretend it never happened. What about you, Jordy?
Yeah, I was gonna say we were towards the middle on that first one. I'm definitely in between bad and pretend it never happened. The World Cup, I didn't like it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. But then obviously to top it off with Shane just waltzing in and winning it, a 1 minute championship match. There's plenty to not like, and the main event itself. I wish that didn't happen. I wish it was still something that we like fantasized about, and one of them matches that we just never got to see, because when we actually got to see it, it
was
wasn't
bad.
Yeah, it was very bad. It was very bad for everyone involved, even to a point where it's like you were worried about them. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't, and that's why Sean should have stayed retired, and that's why he did for the longest time. But yeah, I'm with you. Pretend it never happened. Right at the bottom.
Right at the bottom of the list. Then the next one was Super Showdown, I believe 2019. Yeah, 2019. We had the Usos versus the Arrival on the pre-show. Can't believe that was for on the pre-show for the tag team, well, just a normal tag team match. Then we had Seth Rollins defeating Baron Corbin for the Universal Championship. A fun match, an awful feud. We had Finn Balor versus Andrade for the IC title. That was a fun match. We then had Shane McMahon defeat Roman Reigns, if you can believe it, in 9 minutes. Then Lars Sullivan squashed the Lucha House Party. It was a sad sight. Randy Orton then took on Triple H in a 25-minute match, which was actually a bit of a banger. It was a fun one, right? That match itself was maybe the only good thing about this. Braun Strowman then defeated Bobby Lashley. Kofi Kingston retained against Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship. Mansoor won a 51-man battle royale. And then The Undertaker defeated Goldberg in, this was, I don't know whether I want to forget about it or if it was just bad. What are your thoughts?
It's definitely bad. It's going no higher than bad.
No.
Because I didn't forget about it for the wrong reasons. That's the thing. Does it? I probably pretend it never happened. To be fair, I'll probably put it down there as well, just purely again for the main event. The Triple H and Randy match wasn't enough, I don't think, to make me. And it was good enough, but I've seen better matches between them two. But it was just a bit overshadowed by a 50-man battle royal. Come on now. There's not
51.
Not that many people should be in a ring at the same time. Like, a Royal Rumble's one thing when they're all running down in allotted times, but not all at the same time. It was just a mess to look at from the start, really. It was certainly a bathroom break match for sure.
I'm on the record of saying that if a match has more than 6 people in it, I don't like it. So this was 45 people over that cap for me. So yeah, we'll chuck it and pretend it never happened. It was bad. And then from here, things, they get slightly better, I guess. Crown Jewel 2019, Brock Lesnar defeated Cain Velasquez. I mean, that match was hyped up so much. It lasted 2 minutes. It was like, what's the point? Then we had the OC we had a tag team turmoil. I forgot about this. And actually, this was quite a fun match, if I remember correctly. The OC won, and it went like 30 minutes. And that was quite a fun match, if I remember. Mansoor then defeated Cesaro in what was like not an amazing match, but like everybody was a bit surprised by what it was like. People thought it would be bad, and it certainly was not. Then Tyson Fury defeated Braun Strowman by count out. I mean, that was a bit overhyped, but it was a fun moment nevertheless. AJ Styles defeated Humberto Carrillo for the US title. I have no recollection of that match. None. I can't. No
I watched it back not long ago, mate, and I must have fallen asleep during that bit because I don't remember that happening.
You just watch the show, and every time it just skips past that match.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Natalya defeated Lacey Evans by submission in a singles match. Then Team Hogan, which consisted of Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Shorty G, and Mustafa Ali, with Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart, defeated Team Flair, which was Randy Orton, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Drew McIntyre in a 10-man tag team match. I think that was okay, but I can't really remember. And then in the main event, we had The Fiend versus Seth Rollins in a Falls Count Out Anywhere for the WWE Championship. I mean, I remember being a bit disappointed by that match. What were your thoughts on this show?
See, that was one of the ones. The tag match was just a very much kind of throwback, like a Survivor Series. It felt like I was watching bragging rights. So there was an element of it that was fun for me. But again, this show, probably more than any of them, aside from maybe the Greatest Royal Rumble, felt like an exhibition, like bringing in Tyson Fury, bringing in Cain Velasquez. But what I will say is I did enjoy the Fiend and Seth Rollins match. Whether it was because the rest of it kind of felt like a bit, I don't know, not a bit PG maybe. And then it was a bit of a breath of fresh air I felt at the end of the show. And obviously to see the Fiend pick up the win, pick up the title. So I that maybe brings it out of bad for me, probably until I forgot about it. I didn't forget about it.
To be honest with you, I did forget about most of this. Until I read it out, I did forget about pretty much
the only thing that I remember is if you'd have said to me, do you remember when Tyson Fury was in WWE? That's the one thing that sticks out. Not that it was good, and I agree.
Yeah.
The finish was a letdown. But if you said to me, do you remember when Fury fought Strowman? I would be like, oh yeah. But to be honest, I wouldn't probably be able to tell you which year or which event. So yeah, probably I forgot about it. Is a fair ranking.
I think I would have guessed Super Showdown 2019 actually. So I would have probably had the year, but not the event, right? So okay, let's chuck it in. I forgot about it then. A lot was forgettable, including AJ Styles versus Humberto, which I still have absolutely no recollection of. Next up, we have Super Showdown. What year was this? 2020. And once again, with the OC on the pre-show. Were the OC like massively over in Saudi Arabia or something? Because they're on like every single one of these cards. Like they just find a way to get them on them. But then I forgot about this. We had the gauntlet match for the, I'm going to botch the pronunciation, but the Tuac Mountain Trophy, where The Undertaker won by eliminating AJ Styles. And of course, that was leading up to their WrestleMania match. So I remember that. That was a bit of fun. Very random. I completely forgot about the trophy until I just read it then. Completely forgot. We then had Miz and Morrison defeat the New Day for the SmackDown tag titles. We had Angel Garza defeat Humberto Carrillo. Again, I have no recollection of this. Was Humberto and the OC just both super over in Saudi Arabia and they were like, they need to be on every card? We then had Seth Rollins and Murphy, poor buddy Murphy. He lost his first name at this point. Defeat the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team titles. Mansoor defeated Dolph Ziggler. Again, I forgot about it, but I think it was decent if I remember correctly. Brock Lesnar absolutely squashed Ricochet, completely destroyed him. Roman Reigns defeated King Corbin in a steel cage match. I mean, that feud was just awful. Bayley defeated Naomi in a singles match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. But I think that was quite a fun match. And in the main event, Goldberg defeated The Fiend Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship. And absolutely everybody just got fuming about
Yeah.
it. I mean, this was not good.
No, certainly not. Certainly into bad for me. Um, the best thing about it was that moment when, for some reason, the Undertaker showed up and won the trophy. That was great. Even watching it back, like, because again, it was just, I just didn't see it coming. You know what I mean? It was just a good bit of
Yeah.
fun. But aside from that, like, again, Roman Reigns and Corbin did what they did what they could with that feud, with that story. But yeah, the whole event, it falls into bad for me. I don't think it's lucky to escape the bottom, but
Yeah.
I'll let it.
Okay, that one goes into bad then. I mean, we then took a bit of a year off because of, that pandemic that happened, which I pretend that never happened too. I'll put that in the bottom tier. But we had, firstly, maybe the best match to take place in Saudi Arabia to date. Edge versus Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell, and it was an absolute banger. It was truly brilliant. That was a match of the year contender. Then Mansoor defeated Mustafa Ali in a match which, again, I forgot happened. I forgot all these Mansoor matches happened. But RK Bro then defeated AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Zelina Vega defeated Doudrop in the Queen's Crown Tournament final. Goldberg defeated Bobby Lashley in a no-holds-anywhere Falls Count Out Anywhere match. I mean, I swear I swear a
Thing,
Falls
right?
Count Falls Count Anywhere is no holds barred anyway, but okay,
Yeah.
we'll move on. I actually remember that being quite a fun match, if I'm correct. Xavier Woods defeated Finn Balor to become King of the Ring. That was quite a fun one. Big E defeated Drew McIntyre in a singles match for the WWE Championship. Again, that was a fun one. I remember that. Becky Lynch defeated Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks by pinfall in a triple threat match. That was really fun as well. And then in the main event, we had Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. And again, I enjoyed that too. I mean, I'd actually say this probably, I don't know whether it's great or show of the year contender, because keep in mind the shows still weren't that great at this point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. When you're looking at shows of the year within 2021, it could well have been. It's definitely in great. It goes past decent, I would say. Um, I mean, Edge and Seth's match would take it into great on its own. It would probably carry the show. But when you actually go through it, like you say, the triple threat match between Bianca, Becky, and Sasha, like I'd pay a lot to see that now. Like
Yeah.
we were lucky, we were blessed at the time. But no, is it show of the year?
Let me. Should I go on? Should I go on Tony Khan's favorite
No, I tell you
website?
what, put it in because it's only a contender. And I think it will have been a contender for show of the year that year. It might not have taken it. It might not have won show of the year. Surely it was a contender for it.
So I'm on Cage Match now, right? And maybe I'm remembering this a little more fondly. No, a lot of people were saying actually it was a show of the year contender. Yeah, we'll chuck it in there. I mean, the one which I think disappointed a lot more than I remember was Zelina Vega and Doudrop. That was bad. But other than that, it was a fun match. Yeah, let's chuck it in. Show of the year contender then.
Yeah, it's
But
a contender.
no,
Innit?
yeah, exactly. It probably wouldn't win it, but it's up there. It's a contender. But now, Elimination Chamber, was it 2021 or 2022? 2022, right? So they took another year off. And this time we had Roman Reigns defeat Goldberg for the Universal Championship in that 6-minute match, which was fine, nothing special. We then had Bianca Belair defeat Alexa Bliss, Doudrop, Liv Morgan, Nikki ASH, and Rhea Ripley in an Elimination Chamber match for a WWE Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 38. Naomi and Ronda Rousey defeated Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville in a tag team match, and Ronda Rousey at wrestle with one arm tied behind her back. That was very weird. Drew McIntyre defeated Madcap Moss in a Falls Count Out Anywhere match. Why? I don't know why. Becky Lynch defeated Lita, that was a fun match. That was a fun match. And then in the main event, Brock Lesnar defeated Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, Austin Theory, Riddle, and Seth freaking Rollins. I'm going to be honest with you, I forgot about 90% of this show.
Fair enough. Fair enough. See, I don't know if I'm in forget about it. Although I did a bit. I didn't forget about Becky and Lita. Um, I didn't forget about Brock winning. My only thing, and this is the thing with quite a lot of chamber PLEs in general, is that results. I remember it being a bit predictable going into this, and you
Yeah.
kind of knowing that Brock was going to end up with a title, so then they could have the whole unification. And like, I just so yeah, that's maybe a dig at Elimination Chamber PLEs in general over the past few years, but I'd say it was decent. Like,
Yeah.
I'd watch it back, I think, and be like, all right, yeah, an Elimination Chamber match, Becky and Lita. Listen, I'm all for Roman squashing Goldberg. So yeah, I'll put it in as decent.
There we are. Then no, I do think that's a good decision. Then we go on to Crown Jewel 2022, right? So they're back to 2 a year at this point. And we had Damage Control take on. Wait a second, so this is important. Triple H is now taking over. So hopefully from this point it's smooth sailing, right? Let's hope so. Damage Control defeated Alexa Bliss and Asuka for the women's tag team titles. Drew McIntyre defeated Karrion Kross by escaping the cage in a steel cage match. The Judgment Day defeated the OC. Again, Saudi Arabia must love the OC. Or maybe, and this is probably more so the case, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson loved the Saudi Arabia payday. But I remember that being a fun 6-man tag team match. Braun Strowman defeated Omos as well. And the Usos defeated the Brawling Brutes for the WWE Tag Team Championships before Bianca Belair defeated Bayley in a last woman standing match, which I remember being very good. And then in the main event, we had the shock main event of Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. And boy, oh boy, did those two guys deliver. Where would you put this one?
Oh, I think it's great. I honestly do. I think the main event was solid. It had that shock factor because nobody really thought Logan was gonna throw down like that. Um, and I think it was one of the better matches that I remember Roman putting on as well. And when you play that role of bringing in someone who hasn't wrestled before, you know at that point that Roman's in control of that match, and it's like it gives you a different kind of image, I guess, an insight into where he was in his career. And it's like, okay, right, he's that guy now. He's no longer the guy that needs helping along. He's the guy that can help others along. Um, Obviously combine that with Logan's athletic ability and just natural ability. It came to him more natural than I think we've seen anyone else. But not only that, yeah, Bianca and Bayley, a last woman standing match. You're right, the OC just pop up everywhere. I think it might be a case of like they're happy to go. I
Yeah,
know
they
that
like the
obviously
money.
there's been some controversies and stuff, and it was probably around 2022. But maybe they're always just put their hand up straight away and like, yeah, take us. And if they received a good reception back at 2018 when they did it, why would they have any reason to not take them? So, but no, on the whole, again, I think I would say great. I would say great. I'm still gutted. I still don't think we've seen Brock and Bobby go to a point of a level of a match that I wanted it to be at. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it came later as well, like the whole master lock low blow thing that happened. That's just a bit of a letdown, but I can't let that taint the PLE as a whole. So yeah, I'll give it great.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you. Another interesting thing is it's easy to forget that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson actually left WWE for a couple of years, right? And in that time, I think they missed one Saudi pay-per-view. So
That's why they came back.
they left after one and came back like they only missed one. They absolutely love those events. They love the payday.
Yeah.
But now let's move on because then we had Night of Champions 2023 and we had the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship tournament final when we had Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Yes, please, I'll have a slice of that, and I will have some seconds as well. Trish Stratus then defeated Becky Lynch in another fun match. Gunther then defeated Mustafa Ali for the Intercontinental Championship. Didn't get as much time as I think we hoped for, but it was still a lot of fun. Oscar defeated Bianca Belair in a fun match. Rhea Ripley defeated Natalya in a match which lasted 1 minute. And then Brock Lesnar defeated Cody Rhodes by technical submission. That divided the fan base a little bit. But then in the main event, we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. And that match, whoo, it was a banger indeed. I mean, I think this is either great or show of the year contender for me. What about you?
I have to agree. Yeah, I think I'll definitely not forget about it in a hurry. Obviously, with it being the inaugural time that we saw somebody hold the world heavyweight champ. Well, let's say that, you know what I mean. First time since last time that we saw someone hold the world heavyweight championship. I think the Lesnar and Cody Rhodes feud as a whole was great. I remember the discontent at the finish in this one as well, but I think when you look at the bigger picture and how it all played out, I think it was good, and I think looking back, it was a finish that worked well with the feud. Trish and Becky, I'm all for every day of the week. That's like two linchpins of generations going against each other. And then did they have a steel cage match further down the line as well? And that
I think they did. Yeah, they
it was
did.
an absolute banger. But yeah, I also remember this was the first time Sammy had been in Saudi for the longest time. And he came out wearing obviously the traditional Saudi wear.
Yeah.
And I can't think that image is gonna go out of my head in a long time. And then the match that followed it was unbelievable. 2023. Was it a show of the year contender in 2023?
Should I once again get up the cage match?
That was this was only last year, bro. We should remember.
I've forgotten the name of the event.
You were at WrestleMania
Night of Champions.
39. You were at WrestleMania 39, so I don't know if it was better than 39, but it's hard to take Mania into it because it's a.
But that doesn't necessarily. So
I think this was one of the ones in 2023 that I enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed this a lot more.
Do you know what? I think it's a show of the year contender. I do, because the more I'm thinking about it now as well, like Lesnar Cody was very fun. Trish Stratus Becky Lynch was fun. Rollins Styles, of course, was a banger, and then the main event too. Like that main event was just unbelievable.
You can tell there's been a pivot. Well, obviously when Triple H got involved, these are PLEs that could be anywhere. At this point, they fit to the current story. They've got the kind of finger on pulse of what's happening within the WWE stratosphere. Whereas I feel like I said earlier on, early Saudi PLE days, it felt more like exhibition. How can we drag a big name in, get a Goldberg in, get an Undertaker in, get DX, get Brothers of Destruction. And now it's like that's not the case. Yeah, you've got Trish, you know what I mean, and you've got Brock Lesnar, but it was fitting with the storylines that were going on at the time. I remember looking forward to it, and I remember certainly not being disappointed. So yeah, I'd put it up the top.
Yeah, no, I do. I will agree with you on that one. Then we had Crown Jewel 2023. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm looking through some of this card, and I've actually forgotten about a lot of it. We had Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Championship. It went 20 minutes. That must have been a banger. I have no recollection of it. I have no recollection.
No, I do. Did Priest not come down and like?
Priest was facing Cody later in the night.
When did I've got something in my head about Drew, and then he got stomped on the table or something like that? But I'll be honest with you, I thought Drew was going to win this match. I remember thinking.
Wow.
I remember thinking that Drew was going to win this match, but obviously that didn't happen.
No, Rollins did retain, and so did Rhea Ripley, because Rhea Ripley retained against Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark in a fatal 5-way, which only lasted 10 minutes. Then Solo Sikoa defeated John Cena after that short run he had. I mean, that was forgotten about quite quickly. Logan Paul then became the US champion after defeating. No, he didn't. He retained. Yeah, no. He became it after defeating Rey Mysterio for the belt. That was a fun match, but Nothing unbelievably special. Io Sky defeated Bianca Belair for the Women's Championship. That one was a bit of fun if I remember it. Cody Rhodes defeated Damian Priest. And then in the main event, Roman Reigns defeated LA Knight in a match which I actually thought under-delivered. I mean, what? I don't know what to think of this show.
You could probably say decent in comparison to the ones that will be below it in categories. And I haven't forgot about it just yet. I could probably agree that the match between Reigns and LA Knight underdelivered. I actually thought the build-up and the feud and the storyline was good. Like, I very much remember Roman's music and LA Knight's music just interrupting it and him just walking past into the ring. That was brilliant. And I thought they went really they went back and forth really well on the mic together. But it was just one of them. We were in this moment where like Roman was never going to drop the strap to LA Knight at that time. We knew this. We knew he was going to take it to Mania. And I think it was just one of them things. Maybe perhaps that could be why the match under-delivered. I don't think at any point it made me think that LA Knight might win. And I don't know what they could have done to make me think that was going to happen at any point. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I would probably put it in decent, I think.
Yeah. I'll agree. I'll say
probably being generous. Probably being generous.
It's one of those though where this was only 12 months ago. Let me check. Right. What
Why did Cody fight Damian? Why did that happen?
This was a week from now last year. I mean, I remember the Judgment Day and Cody were feuding for ages, weren't they? It was so filler. We should not have forgotten about a lot of the card on a pay-per-view which is less than a year old.
No, you're right.
Like, that is bad.
Drop it down.
Forgot about it. Okay.
Yeah, because it's true. It is true. Like, we don't really remember the Seth and Drew match. I remember the 5-way match, and I remember thinking like this could be really good, but what 5 just seemed weird. I remember the build-up though, because they were all saying they wanted a shot at Rhea. Yeah, it was just a bit. The whole thing is a bit filler, really. Now looking back at it, like Cody and Damian filler, Logan and Ray not filler, but it was there to get the strap on Logan. Clearly, the 5-way match was filler. Seth and Drew wasn't filler, but we forgot about it. And Roman versus anyone at that point in time was filler, unfortunately. Despite LA Knight's best efforts. So yeah, probably put it in forget about it.
There we are. We forgot about it. The comments are going to be like, how can you guys forget about a pay-per-view less than a year old? Well, we can, and we did. But next up we have King and Queen of the Ring 2024. So let's hope we don't forget about this one, right? Because this was actually the last one, which of course was your Liv Morgan defeated Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship and won the belt. That was an enjoyable match. We kind of predicted it, but it was also, it was also a little bit surprising with title change.
That was the thing with Dom, right? That was the first time we saw Dom inadvertently help Liv.
Yes.
He tried to throw Becky the chair. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, that was... see, I enjoyed that. Sami Zayn then defeated Chad Gable and Bronson Reed in a match, which it did kind of under-deliver. It didn't get too much time, but it was really fun for the length it went. Then we had the Queen of the Ring tournament final when Nia Jax just apparently went 9 minutes. I don't remember it going that long. Nia Jax, I thought, just destroyed Lyra Valkyria, but she looked great in the victory. Then we had Gunther versus Randy Orton in a match which I adored and I still do adore. I know, obviously, the finish had some issues, obviously, but they have fixed that since. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that gets a thumbs up from me. Then in the main event, Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul for the WWE Championship. A really fun match. I mean, I don't know if it's quite a show of the year contender this year. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
We've had some good shows this year. I don't think it's a show of the. I don't think it's a show of the year, but I think there's definitely some people, even within Wrestling Republic, that would disagree. I remember Soul, for example, loved the King of the Ring. I think off the top of my head, and I think David did as well. I think there was some people that were actually big fans of this show, but I don't think it's quite show of the year contender for me. But it's just because again, this felt like a bit of a step backwards for me, particularly because Cody and Logan felt like an exhibition match. and that felt like a bit of a step backwards. Like I just said before, how on the build up to this, it had always felt relevant. It had always felt like we weren't just getting a match for the sake of a match. Whereas Cody and Logan, as soon as we found out Logan's belt wasn't on the line, I was like, why are we doing this? Like, this just seems so bizarre when Logan's holding a belt. He's now fighting for a different belt, but he's not relinquished the old belt yet.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but again, we've taken 2 steps backwards, I think, with Crown Jewel 2024 because we've got 2 matches that I don't really care about because of the 2 matches that are just there for the sake of matches with a Crown Jewel belt. So,
Yeah,
despite
that's true.
that being said, the rest of it looks absolute flames. So, we'll see.
I've actually just gone onto WrestlingRepublic.com to see what Kobe said about it. He actually described it. He said, WWE King and Queen of the Ring 2024 delivered from top to bottom a near perfect show and match of the year contender. The only thing that stops it from being a 5-star pay-per-view was the lack of a 5-star match, but there were 2 very close matches to being at that level. So perhaps, I don't know, we gave it 4.75 stars.
Yeah, I might have remembered it wrong, but I'm sure David liked it and I'm sure Saul liked it. But and I remember, not that I didn't like it, I remember thinking, oh right, yeah, cool. Like I didn't, it wasn't 5-star for me. I remember it was like 4 probably. But it just, yeah, Gunther and Randy. I really liked what they did with King of the Ring for this tournament, and Queen of the Ring,
Yeah.
and the way that they'd revitalized that tournament and built stature on it. And I was excited for Nia to win it. I felt like she deserved it. And Gunther, I just feel like they had perfect 2 candidates for King and Queen of the Ring. And I think Saudi Arabia is probably a good setting for King and Queen of the Ring. There's not many places anymore that has kings and royals, you know what I mean? England, if they want to come and do one over in England, we'll welcome it. You know, we've got kings and queens as well.
It's perfect for you. Perfect.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
But I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think I can make a case for this being a show of the year contender. If it didn't have the word contender, maybe not. But I don't know.
Hey, you know what? We can throw it in. It's all it is for me. If Cody and Logan wasn't Cody and Logan, it probably would be up there for me. I agree. I really liked. And for me as well. There was do you remember the backlash that they faced because Liv didn't pick up the belt straight away as soon as Rhea dropped it and Becky had won it, and then there was a whole Becky Hogan thing that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I loved the way they timed it for Liv to actually pick it up at a PLE, and I loved the way they did it. So yeah, I say it's great. I think it's definitely great. I don't know if it's better than some of the other ones that we've.
Do you know something which I didn't realize though? We actually gave the Triple Threat Intercontinental Championship one 4.75 too. Sami Zayn, Gable, Big Bronson Reed. We gave that 4.75. So that was clearly better than I remember it being too. But the fact that I can't remember it, I mean, yeah, let's put it in great. Let's put it in great. Let's let the comments argue with us on that one if we're right or we're not right. But then the final one we have to do is tomorrow's event. Well, Saturday's event, right? When this comes out, it's tomorrow's. So for a bit of fun, I won't put this on the Instagram graphic. For a bit of fun, let's, predict where this will be. Gunther versus Cody, Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax, Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed, Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo, a fatal 4-way match for the women's tag titles, and Roman Reigns and the Usos versus the new Bloodline. It's got to be a show of the year contender tomorrow, surely.
It could be, yeah. It can be. It can be. Play the cards right, and it can be a show of the year contender, even with the 2 matches that I don't care about. And it's not that I don't care about them. That's wrong. That it's nothing. I massively want to see Cody and Gunther wrestle, and I think that Liv and Nia will be a good match. It's the stipulation behind it that I'm not so fussed about. But like I said earlier, everything around it is amazing. Like, you want to talk about building building feuds, building storylines without a title involved. Like, how many of them have we got on this card that I genuinely care about? Like Seth and Bronson. Like, I care about that. Obviously, the Bloodline stuff hasn't got a belt in it at the minute. I don't know. They still got them belts. No, they lost them, didn't they? They lost them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely could be. Is The Rock going to show up? I don't know.
No way. No way is he making the flight all the way over there.
Yeah, he won't be doing that. He won't be doing that. But then the bloodline have to win, as in the new bloodline, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
It's going to be interesting. You guys can check out our predictions when this comes out tomorrow. Hopefully I can edit this by tomorrow morning. Then it'll be out. So we're going to be doing predictions later today. Jordy, are you on the show tomorrow?
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah.
You can at 8 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific today. So there we are, guys. Make sure to check out Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast live on YouTube later today to see all of that. We're actually recording this a day earlier, so saying today is making me panic that I'm on the show tonight. I'm not. But we will. Thank you, Jordy, for joining me, and thank you, everybody, for watching. If you could like and comment, that would be massively appreciated. And we will see you in the next one, where I believe, Jordy, we're going to be ranking some John Cena matches next time.
Get in. I'll get my sweatbands ready.
Right, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Peace.